I received a paper from the immigration 2 days later. It was like, hey, you've been denied. You have 2 days to leave the country. That was like basically prepared the rope in the garage. And crazy enough, that first week I had 3 patients praying into my house. And I could see maybe the last little thing that I needed to be even better that came from all of this, you know? And the faith and the trust that it's going to be all right. If you can persuade yourself, it's not always easy when you're at the bottom of the hole, you know, but that really tremendously helped me.
I love that.
Yep.
Happy ending. Take this one for yourself.
Yeah. A minute.
Welcome back to Deep Tissue Talks. Today, our guest is a renowned LA-based celebrity healer, Fabrice Gautier. I have the pleasure to work with him in the basketball French team. In my opinion, in our field, healing requires way more than just knowing your anatomy and biomechanics. You often hear me talk about the 3 layers of pain: mechanical, somatic, and spiritual. And to me, if you're able to mix those 3 elements, it guarantees a true healing. But to be able to heal others, you need to be able to heal yourself first. And when you hear Fabrice's story, you understand why he's one of the best healers in the United States. You'll also witness how I work and how I use talk therapy in my session to be able to go deep into the stuck emotion and the traumas that are in our body and that we experience as pain. Because remember, you are not your pain. Your pain is you.
I want to know, how do you feel today? How's your body feeling? Any pain?
Yeah, I mean,
bothering you?
today I have mine. It's been having a nagging pain on my elbow. I've been adjusted a big guy, and I took the force into my elbow, so I kind of sprained it a little bit. Tightness on the trapezius, on the shoulder.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And that's pretty much it. I'm doing pretty okay.
All right.
Yep.
Let's go. So I want to continue to work on your shoulder in like different angles.
I love it.
And so what I want to know is, how do you arrive in LA and start your business?
That's a good story too. So first thing, didn't do anything without my wife. So we met in school, in PT school in France. And when we first starting to go out, I was like, hey, we go out, but 5 years I'm in LA. And she was like, yeah, right. Okay.
Sure.
And 5 years arrived, and I'm like, okay, let's go. So we went. And at the time, like, the internet was like, beep, 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 So from France to do all the paperwork, it was a nightmare.
Imagine.
So she was the one actually saying, okay, you know what? I'm tired. Let's just fucking go and we'll see. So 6 suitcases, a little bit of cash. And
it's you and your kids too, right?
No, they weren't born yet.
Okay.
They came after. And we arrived in LA in February. I think it was the 23rd exactly. It's funny how you remember those dates when it changed your life. And I met a French physical therapist before for one of our previous trips. So he hosted us in his house for 3 weeks. And then the first thing you need to do when you arrive in the United States, and that was pre-9/11, is find someone that's going to get you your green card. So he said, listen, there's 2 French doctors. There's Dr. Maurice Levy and Dr. Mazouz. And I went to see the first one, Dr. Levy, and I never went to see the other one. He was like, yeah, okay, I need a physical therapist. You can work with me. I'll sponsor you. So that was the first part. But you still need to get your license. You need to get your degree. And you cannot get your degree if you're not legal, and you cannot get legal if you don't get your degree.
And it's fucking expensive.
And it's expensive. So
that's why I never did it.
So I started to take all the courses, and it's kind of frustrating because you have a decent amount of classes in France with a baccalaureate. and they had me take history, philosophy that had nothing to do with the physical therapy. But long story short, 2 years later, I finally passed my diploma. And I'm thinking I'm gonna get my papers. And I got all the stuff, and my lawyer's like, yeah, they're asking for another paper. Can you send me your TOEFL? They need to know that you speak English. Say, okay, I just passed a very hard test in English, but yeah, okay, let's do it. And it didn't push through enough. It was a whole diploma that you needed to get, and of course, pay another $800. And I received a paper from the immigration 2 days later. It was like, hey, you've been denied.
Oh,
You have 2 days to leave the country. That was like, I just started the office.
oh my God. It's
And
like
so we're like,
your dream is about
yeah.
to just.
So again,
Damn.
Alex, my wife, she took care of the papers. She went to find the right lawyer. You pay a fine again. And I did all the tests that I needed to do in English, got the diploma, and finally I was good.
Alex is the best. She's actually your wife and also a physical therapist.
Yeah,
and
so
an osteopath.
yeah,
Right?
she's I always say she's the best osteopath. She's much better than me.
Salsa dancer,
And
a
a world champion. But yeah, she took care of it. I mean, at some point, the first year, 2 years for her was tough. And she took care of it, and she helped me, and we built the office together. She doesn't necessarily like to work with athletes. She works more with pregnant women and babies.
Mhm.
But and that was it. 2003, we created the office, which is very boutique, very one-on-one.
And you were in Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, right in front of Earth Cafe, and we've been there for 20 years now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we started in the 21st year, and like you say, it's I always say it's the best kept secret in town.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're the most wanted healer.
Yeah.
Everybody knows your name and wants to get healed by you, but you're very hard to get into your schedule because you're
Yeah,
super
it's busy, and
That's what it is when you're good.
and I travel so much too,
Yes,
which is
yes.
that's the blessing and the curse.
Mhm.
But that's how we started, and there's some funny stories along the way. Like after 6 months, so I told Alex, 6 months, I have my green card, I got my diploma, we're good, we're rocking. And meanwhile, it took 2 years. 6 months, we lost the apartment. We had a truck full of furniture and nowhere to go.
It's like
Yes,
like a
and
roller
all our friends in
coaster.
France, they're working for like 2 or 3 years. They're buying their house. They're doing things. They're moving up in life. And that was also a defining moment because she was laughing. She was like, "It's okay. Let's empty the truck. We had a friend that let us stay in her living room, and we were both laughing. So I was like, if you're good in those moments, we'll be good for the rest of our life. So okay, let's get married." And then we got married in the not in the living room, but we prepared the wedding with our parents from the living room, and then the kids, and then everything else.
That's amazing. You're one of the best in the business, and one of the reasons you're one of the best is because when you treat a patient, you look for the root of the problem. No, you don't just go to the pain. And we've all been to a doctor telling him that we have a pain just to be given a pill or, surgery. And so even though like sometimes there is no way around it because, especially in sports, like show must go on.
Yeah.
But there is still ways to find where does the pain come from so that you can actually make sure that it doesn't come back and that it heals properly. Can you explain how do you work with pain, the type of pain that you treat, and the difference between an osteopath and a chiropractor?
Okay. So the first question that you asked, or the comment that you made, was like trying to go for the root. That's actually the whole concept of osteopathy. It's you look at the person as a unit, as a circle, as a whole. So it's holistic, which a lot of different therapy have that mindset that behind it. what I like and what differentiates itself from the osteopathic is that you have the structural aspect that's very close to the chiropractic, which is the adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
But you also combine the visceral manipulation and the craniosacral.
Mm-hmm.
And as you learn, as you have experience, you also, and I'm in no case a shrink, but you also learn and you discover that the emotional aspect sometimes, not every time, plays a big part in the injuries or the, I would say, the repetitive injury or the non-healing.
Yeah, the somatic pain, I see it all the time too.
And the thing that happens is that the first thing I do, that I don't know if, like I had a patient that gave me a good, he asked me if I felt that I was one of the best. And I have that, little imposter syndrome, little humility, I guess, from growing up in France, having, the family that they keep you on,
exactly like
stay your feet on the ground. And my mom had a good one too. One time it's like heads in the stars, but feet on the ground. Like,
yes,
you should have dreams, but basically he was asking me, do you feel that you're one of the best? That you're the best at what you do after all your experience, the people you work with? I'm like, I don't really think like that. And at some point he sent me a message like, if you work with the best, you're among the best.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me think, it's like, okay, maybe I might take that compliment. Okay, because I work with some of the best people in what they do and not just sports. So I guess you have results. And to go back to what you were saying, the first thing I do, the first thing they teach us, the first thing that the patient doesn't see is that I observe.
Yes.
I observe.
They don't realize that we're always like looking.
I'm looking at them when they don't know, looking at the shoulder height, position of the neck.
And then they ask you, how do you know where to press?
And we can tell, and it's not just me as an osteopath, a lot of healer, a lot of people working with patients, you can tell already by just looking that, okay, I have some work here and there.
Yeah.
Then you ask the question, and then the moment where you put your hands on the patient, you have a transfer of energy.
Yeah.
My energy, their energy, and I can feel things. You can feel where the trauma, the restriction of mobility are stored, and you go from there. You do your investigation, and you try to, like you said, you try to go for the root. You're not always successful, but hopefully most of the time you are. Otherwise, I would still not do this job.
Sometimes it takes time too, right?
And sometimes it's going to take 2, 3, 4 sessions for things to open. And sometimes, especially, and I think that's why I'm very successful, I think, and that's why I feel the most successful, is that sometimes it's not for you to help, you refer. And you work as a team. It takes a village to help any type of individuals. And when they realize you're not about having them, milking them, having
come every week,
and you send them to someone that's actually going to help them, they always come back and they're so appreciative.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a village and it takes somebody to like complement. That's why like I love when we work in the French team, because we have different fields. We want to go to the same result, but together we're just stronger.
Yes. And so that's what I like about the job. And I feel that I surrounded myself with some of the best as well. And to finish the question in terms of what I bring also a bit different, is that I'm also a physical therapist. When you study osteopathy in France, they tell you, oh, you need to just be an osteopath. But I love both jobs, so I never wanted to quit. I would say I do 80% osteopathy and 20% physical therapy. But every time I realign a patient, I work on a patient, I always make sure I'll try to reprogram their central nervous system with their new mobility. So there is always an education part, which we can trace back to maybe my mother, who was a teacher. Everything's rooted in the mother.
You have a family, you have a wife, very busy schedule, really demanding. How do you balance family time, work, and also for yourself?
Yeah, the for myself comes always last. But I think the way it built up, I think, like I said, we started in that living room. We were not paying rent. We were decided to get married. I just got my license. Then, we opened the practice. So it takes time. I guess we did a lot of stuff early, like getting the kids and starting the office, where I would say the first 9 years, I wasn't so busy. So at least for the kids, those first 9 years, I don't feel I missed anything or not much. And because we were living here, we were always sending them in France to spend 3 weeks with each grandparents, which they had them fully as well. So they were not seeing us as you would see, your family if you would live like, I don't know, 20 minutes from each other, but they would actually enjoy their grandkids a different way.
And being the French language,
yes,
that's super important.
They would be bilingual. Then 2009 came the French national team, Tony Parker, Boris Diaw, Ronnie Turiaf. And so every summer, I would be with the French national team. So that would start to take a little bit of me away from the family, which always hard. But we would always try to remember 2011, took the kid and I was with Tony Parker in Normandy, and we took the kid and they did his camp. So we would always try, it would never be perfect, but we would always try to be with them also while I was there.
Yeah.
And having them live a little bit of the experience of what I was doing and spend some time over there. And I would say the real heartbreaker in the sense of really leaving was really when I started to work with a tennis player on the tour.
Yeah, because it's a schedule that's way heavier.
Yeah, and I was gone to every Grand Slam, every major tournament, and that was much more. Because when I go to see an NBA player for a day or two, okay, daddy is going to see, but he's back in 2 days.
Yeah.
The tennis, it was like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
That's what I tell my son, like 2 dodos, mama will be.
Yeah. So that was starting to be a little bit more impactful on, I would say, myself, but also especially maybe the kids and the family, and we're starting to be teenagers. So that was that would probably be when it started. So I already had a good amount of time with my kids, So then after taking care of myself, now I take more of myself because I feel like, okay, my kids are 23, 21, they're doing their things, I have a little bit more time, but it's still super hard because we're healers, we're givers, we're fixers.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to recharge.
Yeah, we always come after.
Take this one for yourself.
Yeah, a minute. Yep.
A couple more.
And then there's a moment when you realize that it just has to stop. I was in Madrid, I think, tournament. It was the second year I was doing it with the tennis player. The vibe wasn't that great, and I just felt like, I don't want to do that every single time, every year in my life, be in the same hotel, in the same type of. I just decided to stop, came back home, and that was actually a super hard moment because those 2.5 years where I was pretty much gone a lot, they build their own rhythm.
Yes. And then you come back into theirs.
I come back into theirs and you're like almost like a stranger in some sort of ways. And later I learned that one of my trigger was abandonment. So it was just starting to become the perfect storm. So that's when shit started to happen. And at the same time, I find out that my dad was diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh, wow.
So he was gonna, if you're lucid enough, that it's not gonna last a long time. Thank God he was healthy. Otherwise, so he lasted 5 years instead of 6 months. So we would cherish that, but I had all my world kind of crumbling, like not knowing where to be, what to do, and that that was tough. So it takes, when you travel like that and you're by yourself, people think like, oh, it's great to go with that lift.
Yeah.
No.
But it is glamorous, but
Yeah.
also the life that goes with it, because you have your family waiting for it, is really hard psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
You are dad, but you're also a husband. And how does that lifestyle take a toll at some point? Or does it?
Well, I mean, I'm sure the lifestyle, I mean, you know, then at some point you end up in couple therapy. But I don't think that it's not just necessarily that lifestyle. A lot of couples end up in couple therapy, or it's like, I don't know the numbers, it's like 50% get divorced. So definitely every lifestyle creates some issues, but ours, I think it's more the absence. And like I said, when I came back, I mean, my kids, of course, they're teenagers, they have their friends, they do their thing. That's cool. My wife, I wasn't there. She found a passion, was getting healthy. Like after the kids, like she dropped a huge amount of weight. She discovered salsa. She's the biggest competitor in the family. So she wants to compete. She wants to become world champion. She has a challenge. It takes 13, 15 hours a week of dancing. It's at night. Then there's the social dancing. So there is a whole world that I left, that I came back to, that was so different. And also because I was exhausted, probably tired and depressed.
Yes, that takes
I was more focused on
others.
I was more focused on the selfish of what I was feeling and not understanding the aspect of the others. So it was a very, very hard period. There was some struggle financially because you also had to pay for private schools. You know how it is in LA. It's like they make you feel that you have to put your kids in private school, that they go receive the best education. And I think it's a lure. And then so you have to work more. So it's the rat race. It's the snake biting his own tail. It's the feeding the monster. And then at some point there is a moment where you just can't no more. And you have to, it can be, I mean, I went to a very dark place where again, I was really about to do something that's completely crazy. I basically prepared the rope in the garage. But I get a call.
And I know that story, but each time you tell like I get goosebumps.
Which I don't know more, it's funny. Because you process it at some point. And it's actually, the hand is beautiful. I'm sure you're going to have to prevent that we talk about this, or let your audience know. But I called my wife. She was at a congress. It was early in the morning. I didn't know what to do with myself. That was my only solution. And she picked up. But she picked up and she was like, can do nothing for you. And I was the biggest slap in the face. Like, I'm telling you, I'm about to do something crazy. And she's like, no, I can't do anything for you. You have to do it for yourself. You have to go see someone, take care of yourself. I'll always be there for you. Yeah, I guess he still does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to, I'll be there for you. I love you, but it's on you. Like, I cannot help yourself. If you're struggling, if you don't see that you're depressed, if you don't see that you have to seek help, you're not gonna get better.
Yeah.
So,
And I think this, it probably would not have worked with everybody, but I think that because she knew you, she knows you, it was the biggest love gift that she could have given.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I mean, she's a competitor, but I think sports help tremendously. Sports, dance.
Fight for your life. Like, what are you talking about? You want to
let go, you lose, but there is a moment where you always find a way to get up.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, it wasn't really, I mean, it was, the boxing bands.
Mhm.
That's why I wanted to hang myself with. I would have hopefully probably missed it. But it was a terrible moment, super sad, but in some sort of way, it was that deep moment when you're at the bottom of the ocean and you push back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then from there, you do your process, you work. I don't think it's ever perfect or ever healed, but at least you recognize your triggers.
People they tell you like, just be happy, just like basically fake it. But I think to allow yourself to feel the pain is also important to
Yeah.
feel.
I was funny story about be happy too. Again, I'm talking about my wife a lot, but the other day she was like, "You see how much pressure we put on our kids?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like we never told them to be whatever, or just want them. Always told them we just want you to be happy." And she looked at me. She's like, "You know how hard it is, to be happy.
Yes, it
It's not
takes a
easy.
stand.
It takes a lot." But I guess also that I feel very lucky that I have been groomed into being smart enough to listen. That was the biggest thing that I wasn't doing, also because of the lifestyle and the job. The shrink, when I spoke with the shrink, it was like, Fabrice, when you get into your room and you walk with patients, they all ask you about all the amazing adventure you've been doing, who you've been seeing, where did you travel. So they always ask about your stuff, but you don't, in that process, you ask them about their stuff, their issues. And he was like, try for a week. When they ask you where have you been, say, well, nowhere, no, nothing. Just don't answer and ask them 3 questions. And crazy enough, that first week I had 3 patients crying into my house. And I could see maybe the last little thing that I needed to be even better that came from all of this, So always looking to the positive. And it was a defining moment. It was a very defining moment of
I imagine.
of progress. But it's like the 40 years old crisis, I guess.
Yeah. I'm in my 40s, but I can tell that you're starting to wonder, all right, it's been 40 years already. I may have 40 more years.
Yeah,
Now what's next?
exactly.
What I love about that story is how your wife really it was a testimonial of love for me. Like that's so beautiful. And you went back up. And
It took time, but I went back up, and then after it was her, and then I was there and be patient.
You went through it, so it's almost a little bit easier to like give her a hand and also at least understand what she could be going through.
I would have probably not been able to do it where I was, but because I got myself out and I was more healthy to be able to handle the next storm. But that again, it's teamwork.
Yes.
I always go back to sports. For me, it's one of the biggest teacher of life.
What could you have done differently? Or if you knew that somebody is going through the same thing, what advice would you give that person?
I mean, first, don't ever do it. Don't ever fucking do it. That's the first one. Even so, you're at the bottom of call friends. The first one, if they don't answer, call another one. Just talk to someone. Talk. The talking and really like just daring to, even so you feel like there is no hope, always try to reach out to someone. Someone's going to pick up. Someone's going to tell you what you need to hear. Someone's going to come to your house and take care of you.
And there is some free numbers that we're going to put down below also for anybody that need help, where you can call and people are there to help you, listen to you and help you out.
And a very simple thing, which was weird, like the first session with one of the shrink that I went with, and she was like, it's going to be all right. Whatever you're going through, it's very interesting the way she said that. It really resonated. One of my favorite books is The Alchemist as well, which helped me lead my career and my life. And the faith and the trust that it's gonna be all right. If you can persuade yourself, it's not always easy when you're at the bottom of the hole, but that really tremendously helped me.
Now you're here, you're with us,
Yeah.
and you can now help other people continue to help, because I think it looks like this is what you came to this earth to do, heal. But you also have to heal yourself in order to heal other people. I'm just really proud of you for going through this and finding the courage to go back up.
Thank you.
Fabrice.
If you're not afraid to be vulnerable, and you share your stories and you talk with your friends, and I almost feel what you're saying, you're healing, but more than healing, you're getting strength out of it. Like you're getting stronger, like even more resilient in terms of those triggers. My biggest one, like I said, my biggest trigger was really abandonment, because I never lived alone. Stayed with my parents.
Yeah.
Stayed in that American family as an exchange student, back to my parents with my wife and kid, never been alone. And my kids were leaving. My wife was going dancing all night. She was going through things. My dad was gonna leave. There was a lot of things leaving that I never. What am I gonna do with him by myself? I don't know what to do with myself. And I realized, it's pretty darn cool to be by yourself.
Yes.
Now that's one. Still, I'm somewhat of a trigger, but now first I recognize it and I control it. And when you talk with other people, like we discussed, you and I, that in Germany when we were with the French team, that's some of the discussion that helps you. You feel safe.
Yes.
You feel you can talk about those things without any shame or guilt or nothing.
And not being judged.
Yeah, not being judged. That's another thing. That Snoop Dogg just posted something pretty cool today about that. Like, don't judge. You don't know what you were going through in your childhood, what shoes you were wearing or not wearing, what's this, that. No, like the judgmental thing is the worst.
Yes. And like there is a song that I really like. It's I've been drinking more alcohol for the past 5 days. You don't know what people are going through. Your friends, your family, your husband, your wife, your coworker, they might sometimes, act in a way that you don't like, but you don't know what they're going through in their life. And try not to judge and try to be empathetic, because you never know what people are going through. And sometimes, people hurt themselves and they look so happy but inside they're hurt. Look at people in the eyes. If you look at people in the eyes, you can tell that something's going on. So now that you're back into the light, what are the habits, wellness habits that you are now doing for your life so you can stay healthy physically, mentally?
So I've always been driven into that, trying to, they use the biohacking, but basically better myself. I mean, when you're in contact with the professional athletes, they try to get that 1% extra every time.
And it's so motivation too. Like I look at them training, I'm like, I want to train too. I want to work out too.
You get better. Just get better every day. That's what I mean. I like to try to get I think it starts by recognizing that you're not perfect, that you're gonna mess up sometimes, but you can always get back into the zone of trying to be as good as possible. My number one thing is sleep now.
Yes, so important.
So starts in the morning, actually, not at night, starts in the morning, get the morning sun for, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
That's the Uberman
I mean,
kind of like
there's
routine.
a lot of people. I follow those guys, but I'm also like, it's my grandparents came from Burgundy. They were kind of farmers. Like at 85 years old, their blood tests were perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they were having a garden. My grandfather was waking up early, getting his pretty thick breakfast, would go to work in the garden, come back, get a snack, come back to the garden, get lunch, nap, get out, go for a walk, for long walks. He would walk like 2 hours, come back, a little snack and a soup for dinner, and go to bed at 10:30 sharp, and repeat and repeat. Might seem boring for some people, but it's like, I like that, to be able to get that consistency into my sleep. The Oura ring helped me tremendously as well, because it could really tell me what was affecting my sleep. Eating too late, eating too much. So it's basically fish and veggies around 6, 7 p.m. max. The alcohol. I'm from Burgundy, so I love wine.
We
so
like
I
our
drink wine.
wine.
I also know it affects my sleep.
Yes.
So at some point, you get to an age, or you get to a place where getting that sleep, you feel the energy, and that leads to everything else. That leads to going to work out. That leads to going ride my bike for 3 or 4 hours. And I would even put that after the food. So
After the food, okay.
sleep, food, workout. And then after, if you have time, it's meditation, it's
I love meditation.
napping, it's kind of goes back to sleep a little bit. And you know, I'm a big fan of the WAF Max.
Yeah.
And I do my naps in it. My assistant, she knows when I travel, if there's a cancellation. That's why maybe it's hard to get in. But if there's a cancellation, she keeps the cancellation. I go spend 30 minutes, do a power nap in the WAF Max, which is a big inflatable device. It kind of cuddles you and you fall asleep.
We're going to put all those in down below so you can have access to it.
And the one that I really love also is the PMF device.
Oh, tell me more.
Pulse electromagnetic frequency. So it opens up, it recharges your cells. They have and that brand Halo. They have a simple app, and you have prep or recovery, and right before bed you have recover or calm, and it's just like, sometimes I fall asleep with it.
Really?
And what I realized is that the Oura ring was giving me 20% more deep sleep and REM sleep after I was doing this.
Really?
Yeah. Very simple to use, very easy to implement. It's a disc that you put, and it's one of my athletes who showed it to me. She's been using it, and she's double MVP, or she's one of the best. She's the best point guard in the WNBA. Chelsea Gray. Shout out to Chelsea, my little sister. She's the one who introduced me to it, and that's also what I like. I like to exchange the ideas.
Yes.
I like to try and to make my own idea for myself. I believe there's too much like science. Yes, science. Okay, fine.
It's also what works for you.
Exactly. It's like cryotherapy is not going to work for some different type of athletes or different type of people.
Depends on your DNA sometimes.
Genetic and your parasympathetic. It changes, but I like to try it for myself. Same thing with food. And I have a pretty good sense of what makes me feel good or not.
I love that.
Yep.
Happy endings.
And recovery.
Yeah.
I love deep massage. Super important.
So you're saying deep. I needed to go deep in this. Touch my shoulder with your shoulder. No. Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah. And come back in the middle.
Okay.
And give me 3 more. 1. 2. Last one. Good job. Yeah, I needed this to like better. because now everything is good with you, happy ending. I'm so happy for you. Really so happy for you to that the world still get a chance to have you around.
More of me. Thank you for having me.
It was an honor. Thank you for lending me your body, and I'm sure your body is gonna thank you.
Yeah.